Hello, everyone, and welcome to Africa Fire Mission's weekly virtual training session. My name is Mike, and I'm the programs director here at Africa Fire Mission. I'm so happy that you took time out of your busy schedules to join us for today's training. Today, we're joined by Chief Brad Banz. He's retired from the Wichita Fire Department as a captain. In his hometown fire department, he's served as just about every position up to and including chief. He's been traveling with us, doing work on the ground in Kenya, Zambia, Malawi. He's been everywhere with us for almost as many years as we've been around. So Brad's a good friend and a familiar face for some of you guys. We're excited to have him here today. He's going to be talking about ICS, Incident Command System, and Unified Command, as we begin sort of our month of leadership topic here. Um, Before we get started with today's training, I'm going to pass things over to Errol Sianga. Errol is Africa Fire Mission's fire safety advocate, and he's going to get us started with a couple words of encouragement.
Thank you very much, Chief Mike. Thank you very much, Chief Brad. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So, in relation to today's topic for the day, a word of encouragement is coming from the book of Ezra, chapter number 10. A word of encouragement today is coming from the book of Ezra, chapter number 10, from verse 4. And it says, "Rise up, this matter is in your hands. We will support you and take courage and do it." So what does it mean? Let me repeat it again. Ezra chapter number 10 from verse 4. It says, "Rise up, this matter is in your hands. We shall support you. So take courage and do it." So it tells us on whenever we are having a situation or we are going for a response and it's time to take action in terms of arranging ourselves in terms of incident command system, you take courage and lead, and everyone else supports you as you make decisions and you give instructions and directions in relation to how you're going to manage that situation according to the time limit we are given. So thank you very much. And also, everyone, take courage, and also let's go ahead and do this. Over to you, Mike.
All righty, thank you. I appreciate those words and all the work that you've been doing to help advocate and promote improvement in the fire service throughout all of Africa. Before we pass things over to Brad for today's class, let me just touch on a couple of quick administrative notes. Um, the name that you're using on your screen is the name that shows up on your certificate for attending today's class. So if you'd like to make an adjustment to that, now would be a good time to do that. If you've got other people sharing your screen, keep an eye on the chat. I'm going to drop my email address in there. Send me a list of everybody that's sharing your screen with you, and I'll be able to get them a certificate of attendance for the class today as well. I'll also be posting a link in the chat where you can access some resources from today's training and all of the other trainings that we've done so far this year. If your network drops or you maybe get an emergency call, you can't complete enough of today's training, because I do need you to stick around for about 70% of today's training, which is usually 40 or 45 minutes. But if you have to leave before then, there'll be that link there that you can follow where you'll be able to watch a video recording of today's class, answer a couple questions to let us know that you watched it all, and we'll get you that certificate of attendance for that as well. Uh, Other resources we've got available for you, I just want to mention, head over to our website, www.africafiremission.org. There's a resources tab there. It's filled with all sorts of free resources for firefighters in Africa. There's fire prevention materials, there's some education pieces, you'll be able to register for our online trainings, recordings of the previous ones. Lots of good stuff. It's all free. It's all there for you guys. So I encourage you to head over there and check that out as well. Gonna pass things over to Brad here. Just a quick reminder, when we get to the top of the hour, we'll transition into our tea time. Tea time is a time where you can ask questions about today's training, and it's also a great opportunity to network with firefighters from throughout Africa. You can see we've got firefighters from just about everywhere on the continent, in the Middle East. We even got a fellow from Jamaica that's joining us there. So, great place to do some networking. So stick around if you have the time and the bundles for our tea time when we get to the top of the hour. And with that, I'm going to stop talking, pass things over to my good friend Brad to get us started with today's training.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Errol. It's my privilege to be here this morning. Um, so we're going to get started here. It's a big topic we have this morning, and like I said, it's got a big crowd here this morning, and um, touching on the incident command and unified command, and just to share a little personal background here. Um, right now it's fire season here for us here out on the plains in the U.S. I recently just got off a 280,000 acre fire, which would be roughly around 120,000 hectare, roughly metric. Um, so that's important on fires that size and incidents that size that we use the incident command on that. Um, I know I see my friend Benson there. He's from Colorado in the U.S., so he can relate. I know they've had some fires out in his area as well. So Benson, if I miss anything, you can hop in, brother. So anyway, with that, I'm gonna pop the presentation up and let's get started. All right. All right. So got that up there. So we're going to talk a little bit about a need for an incident command system. I hit on that just a little bit. Um, talk about some management characteristics, some definitions, talk about the structure of it, um, talk about your importance and the use of it in the unified command situations, and talk a little bit about what we call the planning P, which it's very important if we have a unified command scenario, this planning P that I'm talking about. Okay, so why do we need an incident command system or ICS? So first reason is to manage resources, especially if we get into a large situation where we have a whole bunch of resources coming into the area. We have to be able to manage them, uh, to know what they're doing, and to put them where they need to be. So, achieving our goals, we have to set goals. Um, every incident, we have goals that we need to achieve. So, by having that incident command system there, we can set goals. Um, and by organizing them with our ICS, we can use that to help achieve our goals. Accountability, that's a big one. Um, accountability is a big part of safety. Okay. Using the incident command system, um, we can track everybody where they're at, what they're doing, and that helps keep from somebody being out there where we don't know where they're at, losing them, and getting somebody hurt or killed. So that's another reason why we need to have an incident command system in place. Stops freelance, what we call freelancing. Um, establishment, transfer of command. Okay, when we have our incident commander there, get them in place. Um, we can't, especially on an incident, um, maybe for example, one that grows where um, you have a guy that's on a small apparatus, it's a small incident, and it starts to grow. we need to transfer to somebody that's of higher rank. That helps you to transfer. Or on a multi-day incident, the same incident commander can't stay there for 24 hours, 7 days a week. So that helps us to transfer our incident commanders out. So, and they can know what's going on. So that's the reason why we need the ICS and to make the incident action plans, excuse me. So that's another reason. Okay, moving along. So management characteristics. Okay, we have a modular organization. So just a modular structure helps us to be able to move up and down within the organization. Unified command, which we're going to talk about that later, which that's unified command is what we have if we have more than one organization involved, or if we're over multiple jurisdictions. That's what we need to have a unified command structure. And we'll talk about that later. What we call unity of command, unified command and unity of command. So unity of command is when we have each person, no matter who they are, from the most lowest level firefighter, as we work our way up through the structure, all the way up to the incident commander, each person only reports to one person all the way up that chain. That's called unity of command. Just think about how frustrating it is when you go out somewhere, no matter what kind of job you're working, and you have to try to report to more than one boss. Because one boss might say, do this way, and another boss might say, do this same job another way. Okay. Unity of command means you're only reporting to one boss. So that makes the job simpler in the fact that you don't have people contradicting your orders. Common terminology. That means if you go to one place in the country, your terminology is going to be the same as if you go to another place in the country. Okay. Management of your span of control. So what that basically means is that you don't have too many people working for one boss. Okay, usually your span, what we call your span of control is that you have 3 to 7 people, 3 to 7 teams working for one boss. Okay, if you have more than that, and it depends on the complexity of the incident. If you have more than that, then you need to split, and you need to have another boss take over and start managing some more of those teams. So that's what you call the management of span of control. Okay. Integrated communications. So what that means is that everybody can talk to each other on that incident. So I know in some areas of Africa, Middle East, we have people from the Middle East, even our friend from Jamaica, that can be a problem. You have to be able to improvise whenever possible. Everybody has cell phones. But that's whenever possible, try to integrate the communication so everybody can talk to each other. So that's a management characteristic of your ICS system. And scalability. That means that your incident can basically change, you can grow bigger, it can grow smaller. Okay. And it can do so easily. Okay, your definitions. So we talked a little bit about your unified command. Some of these I already identified. It's a command involving multiple partners in your incidents. You have your multiple jurisdictions. Like, say, for example, it might be in multiple counties, or you might have multiple agencies involved, multiple fire brigades, EMS, the police, things like that. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about multiple agencies. And you could have both, multiple jurisdictions and multiple agencies. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about a unified command structure. Okay, the unity of command. I said the subordinates report to only one superior. And that helps keep from orders being different and countermanding, I guess, each other, so that you don't have people. God, what am I trying to say? Contradicting each other as far as orders. Makes things run smoother. Okay, your incident command post. You'll talk about incident command posts a lot. That's where the incident commander and their staff are located. On big incidents, that incident command post may not necessarily be right where the incident's at. It may be back somewhere several kilometers out of the way. Okay. But that's where the incident commanders, like I said, the incident commander and their staff's going to be at. A base, we call a base, that's where the logistical functions are going to be at. That's where your out of service resources are staged. That's where find food. That's where you can find supplies. Your medical for your firefighters. All of that's going to be in your base area. Staging. So that's where your available units are going to be set up at. If they need units assigned to go out to an area, they'll call staging, and they'll send the units that are in staging out to go to wherever they need them. And then demobilization. That's a process of being released from an incident. Just a few definitions. Okay, moving along. So your ICS structure, like I said, talked a little bit about some of these definitions. Modular, being modular, allows for expansion or contraction of the incident. Okay, because you think about fires that you guys have been to. Sometimes they're going to get bigger. So as they get bigger, you're going to need more help. That ICS structure is going to need to grow. So a good ICS system is going to allow for expansion. Okay, and that's that modularity. Okay, scalability, there again, it adjusts to your situation, no matter what kind of situation it is. These are kind of the same. But the scalability, it adjusts to the situation. Span of control, I talked about that a little bit already. Usually you're going to have 3 to 7 resources, 3 to 7 people reporting to one supervisor. Okay. Depending on the complexity of the incident. And that's how you're structured. If you start to get to where that supervisor is being overloaded, then you need to split it. And you need to get another supervisor in and split the responsibilities. Okay. Okay, the incident command position. This is important right here. At any incident, no matter how small, that IC position is always going to be staffed. Of any incident at all, the incident command position is always going to be staffed. Okay. And another important note here is this bottom one. The incident commander assumes the tasks for any positions in the structure that aren't filled. Okay. And we'll any role that's not filled, the IC assumes responsibility for that. Okay. On smaller incidents, that's usually not going to be a problem. But as your incident grows, that's where your modularity and your scalability come in. Okay, that's where you have to start adding some other roles, and we'll talk about that. You guys will see what I'm talking about. Okay, but for smaller incidents, the incident commander assumes responsibility for some things. Okay, so let's talk about single resources first. Okay, these are the very basic building blocks. Okay, a single resource could be the fire appliance, an ambulance, a police car, anything like that. That's what we call a single resource. Okay, we'll talk about a task force and a strike team here in a little bit. When we're counting numbers towards your 3 to 7, a task force and a strike team can count as a single resource. Okay. So this is just a very small incident command structure. Okay, so we'll talk about this being a structure for an injury accident. We'll just make this an example of what we might have at an injury accident call, where a fire engine and an ambulance get responded to the scene. Okay. So when you guys get there, the officer of the fire engine takes command. So, and this is what we call an organizational chart right here. So the officer of the fire engine takes command. So we put him in as the IC. Engine 1 is the IC. We put a box around him, noting that he's the IC. And under him is his crew. And we'll put A1 as the ambulance 1, E1 is the engine 1. Okay, or whatever their apparatus happens to be. So that's just a very simple structuring for the incident command. Okay. Very simple. You guys can do this, and it's good to practice this just for simple incidents like this, just so you get good at it when you have to go out on the bigger incidents. Start practicing this. Okay. So we start getting to bigger incidents where we have more resources responding. So we have to manage them a little bit differently. We have to have more more people supervising them. So remember, I said that when you get between 3 and 7 people, you have to have somebody to manage 3 to 7 resources. So this is one way of doing that, is to put together a group. Okay. So a group is 3 to 7 resources put together, and you assign a supervisor to that group. Okay. And a group is responsible for a certain task. In this picture I have here, they're at a fire, they're at a house fire. You can see there's a fire hose going in. So we've designated this as a fire attack group because there are several appliances, several different fire appliances that have been tasked with fire attack. So you might have like 3 fire appliances that have been assigned to fire attack. So that would be your fire attack group. Okay. The other way that you can assign 3 to 7 resources together is into what we call divisions. You can assign single resources like your fire appliance, your police officers, your ambulances. And I'll talk about the strike teams and the task forces here in a second. And they're led by the supervisor, and they're responsible for taking care of all activities within a geographical area. And that geographical area could be the floor of a building. It could be a certain side of a building, or it could be in a certain region of like a bushfire. And we set up in bushfires, it's very common to set divisions on a bushfire. And we'll say you have this division X has an area between this road and this road on a bushfire. Okay. Okay, then here's our task forces and our strike teams. A task force can be 3 to 7 units with the task force leader and mixed up types of units. Okay. So I just got back. I went to a bushfire here a couple of weeks ago. Very large bushfire, 280,000 acres. That'd be roughly around 120,000 hectares, somewhere in that region. But I went on a task force from our county to another area in our state where we had this bushfire. But we had 4 small bushfire trucks, what we call initial attack trucks, a larger bushfire truck, and a leader, and then what we call a cash truck. So it was all different mixed units under a leader. So anyway, so that met the definition of a task force. Okay. A strike team is 3 to 7 units of the same type. Like right here, this picture is showing ambulances. So this would be an ambulance strike team right here. In bush firefighting, they'll send bulldozers as a strike team sometimes into an area to cut fire breaks. Down here, you'll notice in the note down below, a task force or a strike team um, is defined in a division or group as a single resource. So they're no different when you put these into a division or a group, usually a division, as one resource. So they would be no different than putting a single appliance into that division. So you can have a task force with 7 of these, and you can have multiple. You can have up to 7 task forces plugged in to a division. So you can have a whole bunch of equipment under one division. Okay. So this is an example of a division or group size incident, basically. In this case, this would be one that we would have for a structure fire. So you have your chief who's coming in and taking over as your incident commander. And you have another chief that's come in and taken over as your safety officer, which we didn't talk about that. The safety officer would be part of his staff, would be assigned directly to the chief. And then you have a fire attack group who's being led, who's being led by Engine 1 officer, who's part of this group. Your search group, who's being led by Engine 4's officer. And your ventilation group, who's being led by Truck 1's officer. Okay. So you have your span of control here. You have 3 people reporting to the chief here. You have 3 people here under the fire attacks officer. 3 people reporting to Engine 4's officer. And 3 people reporting to Truck 1's officer. So you've met all of that span of control. Okay. So we're gonna take it up even more now. We're going to go to an even bigger incident where we're going to say that we've grown and we have a whole bunch of these people. So we have to grow so that the chief can manage this. Okay. So we're going to add branches. So a branch officer, and what we call a branch director, can oversee several divisions and groups. And that branch director can oversee a specific function, or they can oversee a specific geographical area. So they can oversee fire, they can oversee hazmat, they can oversee medical, or they can oversee that specific geographic area like we might have in a bushfire. Okay. So here's an example of that. See, we've grown to where we have a whole bunch of divisions and groups. So that would be too many for that chief to manage by themselves. So now that's why we had to split it. That's why we had to split it. And we have 3 branches now. So the chief has 3 different branches. Plus, it's better. Now each specialty has their own person managing them. Okay. You have a fire branch director being managed by one of the fire chiefs, an EMS branch director being managed by possibly an EMS chief, and the hazmat branch director that might be being managed by a fire chief or by a hazmat person. So, and then within these groups and divisions, then you'd have the single resources under each group and division. And you have your safety officer here. Okay. Now we're going to talk a little bit about your general staff. Okay. And what we have, when we start talking about the general staff, we're talking about very large incidents. The incident commander has people that are a part of their staff, but then you have an operations officer, a planning officer, a logistics officer, and a finance officer. And these are all chiefs. The incident commander, an operations chief, a planning chief, a logistics chief, and a finance chief. Okay. So part of the command staff is going to be a safety officer, which we showed a little bit, and they're responsible for the overall safety of everything that goes on that incident. Okay. And the safety officer is the only one. We said that we have unity of command. The safety officer is the only one that can really break in and violate that unity of command. What I mean by that is if they see an unsafe act, they can come in and say, stop what's going on. They can break in and tell those other officers to stop if they see something that's unsafe that's going on. Okay. The liaison officer, they sit on that command staff. The liaison officer is basically somebody that kind of sits in between the incident commander and people coming in from the outside, and they work to make sure that there's smooth interface between the incident command and outside people. A lot of times when you have people coming in, new people coming into an incident, they might come in and that might be the first person they talk to is the liaison officer as well. Public information officer or just the information officer, they're responsible for distributing all information that's released concerning that incident. And that's part of the command staff. Okay. Planning section. Okay. So the planning section helps develop any plans, helps the incident commander develop those goals and objectives and the strategy and tactics that's going on within that incident. Okay, and they're going to have a resources unit leader. They do the check-ins and whatnot. Plus, they help track. That's where the like I said, the tracking. It's early for me, you guys. That's where we keep from freelancing. That's where we track our resources. That's where nobody gets lost at. Okay. that's that's where the incident commander also that helps them to determine if they have enough resources and if they need to order more people up. Okay, this is where we're starting to talk about very, very large incidents. Okay, the situation unit, they're um, they're tracking what's going on out on that incident. Um, when you get firefighters that are coming in, you're starting to work multiple shifts on an incident by the time you have this situation unit in place. They're going to be debriefing people coming off the line, um, and they're feeding information to the situation unit so that they can help the planning section chief make decisions on what's going on. Um, tracking tracking that fire. You notice that they have a map and display processors. They'll be getting on like large fires, things like that. Um, Bush fires, they can make maps. They have airplanes that fly over and make maps. Um, because they field observers, they can go out and gather data, things like that. Contingency planners, that's who's the ones that are helping to make your goals and objectives right there. Okay. The documentation leaders, they're documenting everything that goes on that incident. Demobilization, we talked about that. When that when they start releasing people from the incident, you have to go in and check in through demobilization. Then your technical specialists, they have like a meteorologist there. You can have, depending on the kind of incident, if it's a hazmat incident, um, you might have scientists, um, terrorism incident, things like that. There again, scientists, um, just different people that can help plan, help specialists that can help the incident commander make plans on how to handle that incident. Logistics, the logistics section chief, divided into the service and support units or service and support sections. Okay, where it says support unit, that should be supply unit there. They're getting you all the supplies you need for that incident. Facilities, they're setting you up with someplace. A lot of times you might have tents, stuff like that. Ground support. Getting roads, fuel, things like that for your trucks. That's what ground support's going to do. Service unit or service section, comms. You're taking care of your radios, things like that. Food service, it's fairly self-explanatory. They're getting the crews fed. And medical, that's medical for the firefighters and other folks that are out on the incident. That's not for the civilians. Finance, finance section chief. Um, these folks, sometimes you can get, for this section, you might have local government people filling these positions. So your procurement, especially like this one and this one, your procurement and your claims. Okay, if you need to buy something for that incident and any claims, that might be local government filling those positions. Time, tracking your time on the incident and costs. That might be firefighters covering that, or firefighters or other people on the incident. But a lot of times you can get government people to fill those two positions. Okay. So on a fully expanded incident, that's how these people are going to plug in. Okay. So your operations section chief, everything that most of us are going to be doing, we would be reporting to the operations section chief right here. There's your unity of command. Individual firefighters, you'd be reporting to your group leader or to your like your apparatus officer. Your apparatus officer would be reporting to their group leader. Group leader would be reporting to your branch officer or branch director. Branch director would report to your operations chief. An operations chief reports to the incident commander. Okay. Then I just talked about your planning section, your logistics section, and finance section. And all the people that are in each one of those sections. So that's how a fully expanded section would look. I talked a little bit about the safety liaison and your public information. And that's where they would plug in under your incident commander. So let's talk about unified command. Okay, remember we said that the unified command is going to go under, usually you're going to have it set up if you have a multi-jurisdiction, like say multiple counties involved or multiple agencies where you have multiple fire brigades involved. So these are going to be very complex incidents usually, not just your average fire or other type of incident. You're still going to have a single person that's going to be in charge. You always have to have that single incident commander that ultimately makes the decisions, okay? But you have everybody involved in the decision-making process. And I'll show you something here when we talk about that planning P. I'll show you how that works, okay? They the joint, the multi-agency, the unified command helps to set those objectives. And it's not what we call management by committee. The incident commander up here still makes the ultimate decisions. So this is what the organizational chart's going to look like on this. You're going to have your one person that's going to be set up as your incident commander. And then you're going to have all of your other people that are involved as your joint incident command team. Okay, so that could be chiefs from your other agencies, other jurisdictions, whatever the case may be. They're going to be part of that incident command team. Okay. Then you're going to have your operations chief. Then over here, you would have your planning, logistics, finance. And then that trickles down to your branch and your divisions and groups off your branches. Okay. So how do these guys right here, your joint incident command guys, your unified command team, how does that plug in? I'll show you what's called the planning P, okay? So we start out here clear down at the bottom where we have an incident. Something happens. We get notified. Everybody responds. Now we have what's called the incident brief. This is an ICS 201. That's a form that we have in the US. So basically what that is, it's just It's basically like an incident action plan. And what that has on it, you can scratch this down. Sorry for the but you can scratch this down. It doesn't have to be an official form. Basically, you're scratching out a map or a sketch. Um, Kind of a summary of what's going on the incident, a safety briefing, and you have your current and your planned objectives. Um, your plan, sorry, your strategies and tactics that you have going, that organizational chart. So you'd have that, and then resources that you have on the scene. Okay. So you want to have that, get that written down. And then that's when you want to get your unified command team together. You're going to get these guys together and you're going to have a meeting. Okay. That's when you got to get these guys together. Okay. You're going to meet. And when you meet, you're going to start developing your objectives. Okay. Your objectives are going to be what you want to accomplish. What you want to accomplish. And usually, when you have a complex incident, you're going to start, it's going to be more than 12 hours. So for the next 12 hours, you're going to set up your objectives. Okay. What you want to accomplish for that 12-hour period. So that's what this team right here and your incident commander are going to sit down. That's what this team and the incident commander are going to set by having this meeting right here. Okay. The incident commander, unified command are going to develop your objectives. Okay. So then, as soon as they do that, the incident commander and their general staff, which would be planning, finance, logistics, and command, finance, logistics, and planning are all going to sit down and they're going to have a meeting. They're preparing for a tactics meeting. They're getting everything ready. They're getting tactics set. Okay. From there, once they get the tactics set, then planning goes to work. And they put all of that information between the objectives, the tactics, and everything else. They put that together for their planning meeting, crunch everything into some nice documents. That gets approved. That goes to operations. The operations officer looks at it, says that looks good. And then when your crews that are going up onto the line get ready before they go out onto the line, they get briefed. Okay. As soon as the crews coming off the line, they come off, they debrief. Okay. Then that information gets fed to planning. Planning feeds that information to these guys so that they can develop their objectives. Okay. And then it goes back and starts back through this whole process again. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys this to show you how the unified command process works, where that would plug in at. Okay. So for every decision, you don't have to go through. That's not how unified command works. for every decision, you don't have to go through and say, I agree, I agree, I agree. And the incident commander, because that would be a mess. So it's just for setting your goals and objectives is how the unified command process works. For everything else, for everything during normal operations, this guy's going to be making a lot of the decisions. If he has to go for a big decision, then he goes up to the incident commander. Okay, that's it. Guys, got any questions? That's a lot of information that I threw at everybody.
Brad, we had a question sort of towards the beginning there.
Okay.
We have a couple in the chat here. One had asked about at what point, while you're doing this stuff, does one transfer command?
Okay, that's a good question. So, um, a lot of times you would say when you're on a small incident and it's starting to grow, when um, somebody of a higher authority, like your chief, gets there, say if you're a station officer and your chief gets there and wants to take command, you can transfer command then. If they want to assume command, or if we're on a long-term incident where we've gone several hours and we know that um, we're going to those operational periods, those 12-hour periods, we'll transfer command at the change of operational periods. We'll transfer command then. Does that
Yeah,
make sense? Did I answer your question?
I think a good answer to that also is sort of as necessary, right?
As
Like we
necessary.
don't, um, you don't always have to transfer command just because a higher ranking officer shows up.
That's correct. That's
That's the
correct.
idea behind the incident command
Yes.
system is that the best person to lead that particular incident is in that position, and that's why we change
That's
the
correct.
names and we drop the titles, right?
That's
So
correct.
maybe the
That's
better answer
correct.
might be, as necessary because, because someone better qualified has showed up or
Yeah.
because you've got to do the hands-on work, right? A lot of times, small
Yeah.
fire brigades, when you first get there, somebody has to take command, but
Yeah.
you're physically needed to do the work. So you've got command and you're trying to maybe pull the hose and do that kind of stuff. So that transfer of command happens when somebody else gets there because you're needed. So, yeah,
Yeah.
no real specific timing points that need that transfer command. It's sort of as needed. We want to make sure that we just at least have a brief conversation when that takes place.
Yes. And that's something I didn't cover. That's a good thing. As far as transferring command, something I didn't cover. When you transfer it, um, what you want to tell the person you're transferring command to is basically what everybody is doing. Basically, we have these guys assigned to this. We have these guys assigned to this. We have these guys assigned to this. Um, this is what's going good. This is what isn't going good. And this is what needs to be done. Um, and that's how we want to basically assign or transfer command when we're transferring. Oh, and if we have extra resources that are staged, tell them this is what resources that we still have available to use. So
All right,
uh,
excellent. We're kind of up against our time frame here, so I'm going to wrap up the formal portion of our training. Please, if you've got questions, please stick around. We're going to transition into our tea time. Let me just wrap up the formal portion of the training with a thank you to Brad, Chief Brad, for sharing his knowledge of the incident command system, being here, and all the stuff that you do to help the Africa Fire Mission, as well as firefighters throughout Africa. So thank you, Brad. Thanks to all
Yes,
of
thank
you.
you.
Thanks to all of you out there for joining us, bettering yourselves so that you can better your communities. We don't take for granted that you're using your own time, your own bundles and stuff to be here. So we appreciate all of you as well. If you know someone that would benefit from this training, please feel free to share that link. We have plenty of seats available here. With that, I'm going to wrap up the formal portion of the training and as we'll transition into tea time. If you need to leave, we hope to see you all again next week.